Welcome to my show, simply entitled Women Influencers, where you will find inspirational stories of successful women in male-dominated industries. I am Veronica Malolos, CCIM, founder and CEO of the Capstack Group of companies, providing commercial real estate development, brokerage, and property management services in the greater Orlando area. Today's guest is Jessica Aksu, principal at T&G Constructors. At such a young age, she lost her husband of less than 2 years to a drunk driver. Through those dark times, her resilience and determination, with the help of her support system, has made her one of the most inspiring guests on my show. Please don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe below. I welcome your comments and please share with someone who can benefit from this podcast.
Good morning, Jessica. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
I am great. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. And if you don't mind, I just want to jump right in.
Absolutely.
I was very, very curious about your story, how you grew up in your environment and how you got to where you are today. So please tell us, Jessica.
Absolutely. So my name is Jessica Aksu. I am 33 years old, an executive in the construction industry, a wife, a mom to a lovely 1.5-year-old son named Leo. I am second generation born here in the US. My dad is actually from Turkey. He's from a very small village, mountain town. And I am actually, it's worthy to note because I'm actually the first woman on his side of the family, on the Aksu side, that knows how to read and write. My grandmother, his mom, and my sister, his sister, my aunt, were not allowed to go to school where he was from.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is an amazing story. I mean, people don't realize how different it is in other countries. The US is just taken for granted, I think. But please tell us more.
And it's not like that in all of Turkey. It's just kind of where he was from. It was very remote. Just the culture of it back then, it's not like that anymore. But just so close in generation wise that this was, a thing. And so it was frowned upon because it was the responsibility of the woman to take care of the home and the children, and the crops because it's a farm village. And so, that's something that my dad always grew up with. He had 4 brothers and 1 sister, and he'd always watch his sister, stay behind when they would go to school. And that really stuck with him. So I think it's a huge part of who I am because obviously my dad came over to the US. He worked on the cruise ships to get over here and start a new life for himself. But I'm an only child and I'm a girl. And so my entire life, my dad was always very traditional in some senses, but he grew up in this different culture. So, some things you can't break, but he was very untraditional in the sense that he made me promise that the only thing I would focus on is school and that I would always be the smartest in my class, that I would go to college, that I would get my master's degree, because he wanted me to believe that I could navigate my own life and that I could be just as smart as anybody else. It didn't matter what gender I was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty fabulous. It's just so wonderful coming from, of course, a rural town, a farm town, and still having that vision for you. I think that you're so blessed.
Yeah. No, I'm very, very lucky. My dad is one of my biggest influencers and heroes, really, because he's sacrificed a lot for me to be able to have the life that I have. So I never forget that. But he always told me that I was smart and I was capable and that I needed to be a leader in whatever I did. So I don't know if he thought construction when he said that, but I know that it fits the mold, and he's very, very, very proud of me today. So,
and your mother traveled with him to the United States?
So my mom is from here. My mom is actually from Michigan, and so I was raised with kind of a divided household of cultures. They couldn't be more opposite from each other, but they opposites attract, I guess. And they're happily married, 35 years. And we started our life here in Central Florida. I've always lived here. I was raised here. I attended UCF for my undergrad and my MBA. And then I started at T&G as an intern in the marketing department, fresh out of college. I married my high school sweetheart, Matt, in 2016. We were married for 2 years and together for 8. I tragically lost him in 2018 to a drunk driver, and it shook my entire world. But I was 5 years into my career at that point, in a management position, and I did love what I did. But as many people who experience grief, there are different stages to it, and denial was certainly one of them that I went through. And I remember that I definitely wanted to take a break from my career at that point. There's routines that you fall into every day. And when it's someone that you share your entire life with, your everyday routine, getting up for work in the morning, the route you take to work, after work routines, like everything affects, when you lose someone that you share your entire life with, you lose your routine. And so there's obviously many changes that I've made in my life to kind of try not to bring back memories. And trying to change my work was one of them. And I remember very vividly, there's a lot of things I don't remember from that time of my life. And it's funny how the brain protects you from trauma. But I do remember having the conversation with our founder, Dave Grabowski, our co-founder, about how I loved what I did, but I thought maybe trying to find a different career, or trying to figure out a different path might be something that might be good for me, because I just couldn't bear thinking about doing the same thing every day with a different routine, I guess. And so he told me, and I'll never forget, he was like, some things in life are not, you have to just face head on. And so I took that and I looked at my life and my routine that I was going through every day. And I thought, okay, well, what about it can I control? And he told me, some things you can't control in life, and that's okay. But your career is something that you can control, and your job here at T&G is something that you can control. And if you work hard and you focus on it, I think you'll see great benefits happen from that. And so that's exactly what I did. I did change my role a bit at that point at T&G. He was like, why don't you try to be more customer facing instead of behind the scenes? I think you connect with people well, and I think you listen very well, and I think you could do a good job in the business development side of things, because in the construction world, business development is meeting with people and understanding their expectations and making sure that you have what they're looking for, because anybody can build, but it's about the people that you're leveraging and their expertise, and making sure that you're listening to what the specific customer's needs are and filling those needs. And so it was just kind of natural when I started doing it. And I really, really loved what I was doing. And it showed, because just a few years later, I then became a principal. And so I'll always look back at that dark time in my life and think Dave was always a light for me. He was also dealing with his own health struggles at the time, and still took the time to meet with me and care about my future and my path, and invested in me. And hopefully it's getting repaid now.
Yeah, and I have to say how tragic that Matt was taken so early and too soon, and that you thankfully have been able to overcome all that dark time of your life. And again, it shows your resilience and how blessed you are. You had Dave, who helped you through that very dark time by refocusing you. And you've since become very successful in that. And I know that you've remarried, of course.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. So Justin also works in the industry, but that wasn't how we met. We just randomly met one day out and about, and happened to, I was not interested at all. And he happened to let me know he worked in construction, gave me a business card. And he was a subcontractor. So, and us being a GC, although I'm not on that side of things, I'm more on the client facing side. I was like, sure, I'll pass your card along to my team and see if there's any work that we can send your way in the future. But he is one of the most even keel people that I've ever met in my life. And I really enjoy that because every day is just, I know what I'm going to get. His personality is very grounding. And so sometimes, I'll have my sad days, and he's very, very much consistent and knows exactly what to say to take care of me. And he has never, ever, ever tried to replace Matt or make me feel like I can't grieve Matt. And so in 2021, Justin and I got married. And then in 2023, we had Leo. So Leo's about a year and a half now, and I understand why people say kids change your life, because he's everything to me now. And we actually took my son on my wedding anniversary with Matt. Justin, Leo, and my son, went to go visit Matt's grave, which I do about every month. I try to go see it, but it was very special for me to be able to take Leo with me this time, because Matt is very, very important to me. Leo's middle name is Quinn, and that was Matt's middle name. So it's a way for me to always tell his story and talk about him, because I don't ever want to pretend like he didn't exist.
So much love that surrounds you. Wow.
Yes.
And you so deserve that, Jessica.
Thank
so
you.
We just talked about kind of that big challenge and how you overcame it. So let's talk about influence. And if there was one thing that came to mind that you had an impact on, whether it be within your nuclear family or maybe in your organization, what would that be?
Well, it's twofold. I guess in my personal life, I'm told on many occasions by people that I don't even know that have reached out to me and told me that I am very resilient, that I'm strong, and that they look up to me because of dark times in their lives and being able to overcome them. So for me, that's such an honor. But I do know that sometimes it's easy to think someone is doing okay, or that they're, that they're over, their sadness or their grief or whatever it may be that they're struggling with, because they only paint the picture of the good on social media or with posting their accomplishments and things like that. But good doesn't come unless there is bad. And I've known that, because you appreciate the good so much more when you've felt the bad. And so that's something that I'm proud of, to be able to tell people, is like, yes, I do post the good, because I don't want to post the sad and make other people that love me sad. But that doesn't mean that, there isn't struggle behind the good things that we accomplish in life. But also in my career side of things, I know that I've worked with a handful of women over my career that are just starting off their careers. And I'm proud to say that I've been able to show them a path, or a career path, that they didn't even know existed, just like I was shown from the very beginning. As I mentioned before, I didn't start off in this industry saying, since I was a little kid, I wanted to work in construction. That wasn't something that I was taught or told about. I didn't understand the business side of development or construction. And I didn't even know that this was a career path that was an option for little girls growing up. So to watch my little cousins look up to me, to watch the women that I work with look up to me, it's just such an honor. And I'm so grateful that I get to be able to influence them.
That's just amazing. And a lot of people don't realize that when we're being vulnerable and transparent, that it makes us connect with a lot of people unknowingly.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you've done that. And you were not afraid to show that you are going through some challenges. And that's really where inspiration comes from. I'm sure that people around you, including me, are saying to themselves, wow, this young lady is amazing. And that she is believing in herself, being able to overcome. And of course, it helps that you have a great support system.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely great. Well, thank you for sharing that. I wanted to ask you, Jessica, if there was one piece of advice that you could give to our audience today, what would that be?
My thing that I always tell everyone, and all of the young people that I work with, is always be genuine. I think that that'll always show through. If you do the right thing and you are genuine and you are honest throughout your career, it's gonna pay dividends. Working hard, I know that that's cliche and that everybody says that, but it's true in my case. I've always tried to create new opportunities for myself and work towards them. There's always a goalpost, and I'm always trying to look at that goalpost and go even further. I think that if we always strive to do that, we're always going to create our next opportunity and our new career path, so to speak.
I love that. I love that. And let me tell you, I am one of those people that are so blessed to know you, Jessica. And we're
Oh,
going to handle hopefully a project together pretty soon here.
yeah.
But we have come to the portion of our interview where I get to pass on the mic to you and you get to ask me a question. So please go ahead, Jessica.
Absolutely. Well, and I was wondering, growing up, as I mentioned before, construction or development or this side of things, I didn't even know about it. I didn't dream of or aspire to be where I am today, but I wouldn't imagine it or want it any other way. And so what was your story? How did you stumble into the development world and the real estate world? How was that something that you always wanted to do growing up?
Yeah, so no, and thank you for the question. I never thought that I would be a real estate professional growing up. My background is by education, architecture and interior design, and I was in music for a long time. And this is a story that I've told before, but I'm going to talk about it again. I was in New York City watching TV, and there was an infomercial that said invest in real estate. And I was like, wow, and it's Carlton Sheets. You probably don't even know this person because I'm sure he's gone and dead, but because that was a long time ago. But that inspired me to enter the real estate market. My husband and I, who is we married in the year 2000. So he's not my first husband. And we started investing in real estate. And then slowly I decided I was going to be a real estate professional, started in residential, and then moved into commercial real estate really through my network. I was given this break because I am involved in leadership in my county and also leadership in the Realtor Association. And I got my chance to represent a fairly nice, large portfolio for the city of St. Cloud. That's kind of how I started. But the
Okay.
development, I really just stumbled upon it. And thankfully, someone had encouraged me and told me that I should enter into development because I do have a wide network. And through that, I was able to meet you, Jessica, one of the principals of T&G, and of course, so many other people who are just so wonderful and supportive. And I also actually, as I stumbled in and made that decision to go ahead and enter development, I started educating myself through the CCIM organization, which is a premier institute, premier organization for commercial real estate and development. And so I prepared myself that way and hope to enter into that arena fairly quickly and fairly soon here in the next year or two. And I'm very hopeful that this opportunity that I have with T&G and the rest of the team that we're putting a bid in or a proposal in for a development project, really that if it's a door that God wants to open for me, I would love to step into that because I'm prepared. And
Yeah.
so, yes, it was never something that we actually or I had planned to do, just like you. But I was
Mhm.
encouraged by a lot of other people to do that. So, Jessica, thank you for that question. I love it. And I think it kind of ties also our stories, which is pretty awesome. But
Mhm.
before we go, do you have some parting words for our audience today?
I'm glad that you told me that being a little bit vulnerable to you, tied us a little bit closer because I feel the same way. I think everybody has a story. I think everybody has their unique challenges that they deal with in their life, and it makes us very special. And it makes the opportunity to connect with other people and understand why they are the way they are and why they make the decisions that they make, and that the paths, have aligned and brought us together for a reason, and to figure out what that reason is together. And so thank you for putting this platform together for people to have a voice, because I think it's important to be able to connect with all of the people in our network. So.
And thank you, Jessica, for sharing your beautiful story today, a story of resilience and commitment. I think that you have such a bright and wonderful future ahead of you. And we are blessed to have you on the show. And so I'm going to say thank you so much. And I'm sure I'll see you very soon here.
Yeah, I'll see you soon. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Take care.